What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 90s, and welcome back to College Football Talk with Peter Burtnett. The reason I say welcome back to the 90s is because the last time we got these two teams on this national stage, Michigan and Washington, was in the 90s. The last time both of these teams were national champions in college football. Michigan, co-national champions with Nebraska in 1997, and Washington, the national champions in 1991. And boy, it was a journey for both of those teams to get here. It was absolutely delivered, the semifinal games. It was everything that we hoped they would be. Four teams that really deserve to be there, the four best teams, and they showcased that with two of the best college football playoff semifinals that we've ever seen. But before I dive into those games, if you go on to enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like, consider subscribing to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you're always up to date whenever I post. But let's dive into it, and without further ado, let's start with that Rose Bowl. What a game it was. Early on, Michigan offense looked a little bit nervous early on. Some throws that maybe had a little bit too much mustard on them from J.J. McCarthy, and obviously the muffed punt early on from Samaj Morgan. They eventually settled in, but the team that made the first blow was Alabama, scoring a touchdown on a 34-yard Jace McClellan run to go up 7-0. Michigan is able to respond. They really settle into the game. Touchdown pass to Blake Corum to even the score at 7. And then they get a stop on defense and an excellent effort on a play by Tyler Morris, a player who hadn't really gotten much touches of the ball this season, but made the most of it when he got the opportunity in this game. So a big play by Morris. And then in that first half, it was certainly a defensive battle. It really continued into the third quarter. The Wolverines had 5 sacks. They consistently got there, and I think of those 5 sacks, each one was by a different player. So a really strong defensive effort by Michigan to go into halftime up 13-10. But in the second half, the offensive struggles appeared like they were going to bite Michigan in the butt. The Wolverines had just 1 first down in the third quarter for 23 total yards. Alabama was able to go ahead on a Jason McClellan touchdown run again that was set up by a couple of big runs by Jalen Milroe, who did a really good job throughout the game of scrambling and picking up some big yardage and running the ball and design QB runs as well. That 17-13 deficit was the first one that Michigan has faced in the second half this entire season, and they answered the bell when they had to come back from that. So still, Alabama looked to be kind of in the driver's seat. Justin Eboigbe and Dallas Turner were getting pressure, getting some big tackles either for loss or sacks or just being able to limit the Michigan offense. But Michigan, again, they were able to overcome some of those drops that still plagued them in the second half, and they were able to get a good drive going. But where momentum really swung was a fumble by Jalen Milroe. Alabama had just recently gone up 17-13. They'd gotten a stop and got the ball back, and I think had even picked up a first down when Quentin Johnson knocked the ball out of Jalen Milroe's hands, and Michigan recovered. And so the Wolverines, they would end up missing a field goal on that drive, but they had kind of had momentum swing back into their favor. And a big play to kind of get things going was a phenomenal catch by Roman Wilson. They were already driving down the field a little bit, and it was a tip pass at the line of scrimmage. Roman Wilson made an incredible adjustment in the air, and full-length extension was able to bring the ball in, and then he also scored what would be the game-tying touchdown with 1:34 left in the game. Alabama was stopped right away, and Michigan was going to be getting the ball back, and there was a real heart-in-the-throat moment for Michigan fans when there was another muff at the 1-yard line by Michigan. But they're able to secure the ball. They end up going with, I think, a couple of kneel downs to send the game into overtime. And in overtime, it was, I think, 2 or 3 plays. Michigan got the ball in the end zone very quickly. Blake Corum getting another rushing touchdown that I believe sets the Michigan all-time record for rushing touchdowns in a career. And so a huge day for Blake Corum, a huge, incredible career for him in the Wolverines uniform. So Michigan goes up 27-20, and then Alabama has a chance. Milroe with another solid run on the ground with a QB counter to pick up some yardage. But then Mason Graham, who was kind of all over the place throughout the game, had a big tackle for loss. And then Alabama still, they get back down to the 3-yard line, and they're set up with a chance, 4th and goal. They've made these big plays throughout the season, but ultimately the best defense in the country. I think we can all say that pretty confidently at this point. The Michigan Wolverines were able to get a stop. It looked like it was another low snap, which plagued Alabama throughout the night. McLaughlin at center And it was ultimately a play that the Wolverines collapsed in on. Milroe tried to go up the middle, and the Wolverines were right there to make the stop and to appear in the national championship and give themselves a chance at their first natty in what would be 27 years since 1997, or 26 seasons. So back with a chance to win the national championship, a huge win for the Wolverines. Then immediately following, because obviously that first game went late, it wasn't too long before kickoff of the Sugar Bowl, and it was a quick start for Washington, a big pass, the second longest in college football history, 77 yards to Jalen Polk to set up a short touchdown. It's, I think, second only behind Mecole Hardman's 80-yard reception in 2018. So Washington goes up early, Texas answers. Then Washington goes on a 9-play, 80-yard drive to go back ahead. And then Texas is stopped on offense. I think it was a 3-and-out, but the punt was fumbled by Washington and recovered by Texas. So Texas goes in and scores and ties the game at 14. And then tipped pass, Jalen Polk scores on a touchdown on a tip pass. It was kind of a theme today. Roman Wilson with his catch, and then Polk with his on a tip pass that he was able to watch in, bring in, score a touchdown. And then C.J. Baxter ran the ball in after being set up by a Quinn Ewers run to tie the game at 21 at halftime. And then in the second half, Washington got off to a strong start, and defensively they played really well, really throughout the rest of the game. First, Rome Odunze gets a touchdown grab to go up by 7. Then Braylon Trice forces a fumble, recovered by Washington. They go down and get a field goal. Then they get a stop and get another field goal. So it's 34-21. And at this point, it looks like it's all in the Huskies' favor. But Texas was not done yet. They're able to go down and really on a phenomenal grab by A.D. Mitchell, full extension, kind of back corner of the end zone, was able to make a really acrobatic catch where it looked like leaped a little bit early and was able to make the adjustment to make the catch and bring it to 34-28. Couple of kind of connecting plays is what I like to call these by Jack Westover. He didn't have huge totals. I think he was 6 receptions, 59 yards, but kind of those plays that just keep drives moving. He had a couple of those, and then a phenomenal pass by Michael Penix Jr. to Odunze for 30-plus yards to set up a field goal. And Penix's stat line, I think, pretty clearly, at least offensive MVP. I think Trice was the defensive MVP until one play at the end of the game. But Penix passing line, 29 for 38, 430 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Just another incredible game by the quarterback who finished runner-up in the Heisman voting and will now get a chance to play for the national championship. But it was not easy. Texas went down. They were stopped on third down from, I think, pretty close to the end zone, inside the red zone. And so they kicked the field goal. They don't get the onside kick, and so it looks like at this point they're going to get the ball back with like 15 seconds after they were able to get a couple of stops on first and second down and use their timeouts. But Dylan Johnson suffers an injury, and obviously with just a week to the national championship game, that is certainly something to keep an eye on, his status for that game, and obviously wish a speedy recovery for him, because you want to see both of these teams at their best, and you never want to see an injury. So hope it's a speedy recovery for Johnson. But he gets injured, so that stops the clock with about 47 seconds left. Texas gets a chance. They make a couple of big plays, an incredible play to get inside the Washington 30 on a throw from Ewers to Jordan Whittington to really set it up. Mish Powell got some pressure on a play where Texas had the ball on third down, I think from the 12 or something like that. But there was 1 second left on the clock, just enough for one more play. Sorry, Nebraska fans. Texas got their second put back on the clock. This time, though, it did not pay off. It was a pass by Ewers, kind of the same spot where A.D. Mitchell had caught the touchdown earlier, but Elijah Jackson, the cornerback for Washington, was ready for it this time, and he goes up, and like LeBron going down for a chase down block, goes up and swats the ball. Get that corn out of my face. For those of you Nacho Libre fans, you'll get that reference. And so he seals the victory for Washington, and that sets up a phenomenal national championship game. Number 1, Michigan Wolverines, 14-0, Big Ten champions, undefeated, against the number 2 Washington Huskies, also 14-0, Pac-12 champions, undefeated. It is a matchup that is so exciting to see. For the first time in, I believe, 5 years, we will not have a champion out of the SEC. So that is good to see some parity this year. Both of the losing teams are either a current SEC member or a future one. And this national championship, obviously, you can all expect a preview coming up later this week, probably releasing maybe on Saturday or Sunday, just in time for that national championship game on Monday. But what an incredible journey for both of these teams. And I think it's kind of poetic almost, especially for Michigan, but even for Washington a little bit. These two teams faced off at the Big House. It was a night game that I actually got to attend with my best friend Joe Staten. Shout out Joe. And it was kind of it's a full circle moment. That was kind of the game that jump started this journey for this Michigan team over the last 3 years that has been back-to-back Big Ten champions, beating Ohio State in each of those seasons and getting to the playoff all 3 years. And now it's kind of come full circle. And the team that I think was their second game that year, they play for a national championship. And for Washington, it's been a journey as well. They've had some down seasons here and there, but they've been able to get back to the top of the Pac-12 and have a chance to earn that conference's only championship in the college football playoff era. But what a day of college football. These semifinals absolutely delivered. I don't think they could have any better, and it was just an incredible day to get to watch college football. I hope you all enjoyed. Want to wish all of you also a happy new year and just bunch of success and good things in this next year ahead. But that is it for this episode of College Football Talk with Peter Burnett. I'm your host, signing out. Peace.